Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how I do it, even if you don't care. And this is part 2 of our in-depth look of the Imperial Navy cruisers from the Battlefleet Gothic book. And when we last left off, again, just want to make a note that all these ships basically have the same stats. The 8 hit points, 20 centimeters, 45-degree turns, 2 shields, 6 front armor, 5 plus side and rear armor, and 2 turrets. And if I notice that they're less than this or and any changes in these stats, I will inform you as we get to them. And when we last left off, the cruiser that we finished on was the Tyrant class, and we're going to move on to the next one, which is the Dominator class cruiser. The Dominator class cruiser is one of your better close range combat ships. This is something I would definitely take if I want to be in your face, right in the front, and definitely use this in a support system group where you'd have some fast moving ships in the front, pelt a couple of damage at it, and then send these guys right up there to really finish off the ships, because these do it very, very well. These are also great to combine with battleships because it just has so much firepower. To give you an example, instead of just boast about how great it is, the left and right weapon batteries that this has is 30 centimeters, which is about your average, as we've noticed with other ships, and its firepower strength is 12. So this thing has a lot of dice that it's rolling. Even at long ranges, it still does a pretty decent handful amount of dice. So this is a nice ship to have, especially if you want to get to do a lot of close quarters combat, and on particular fleets that don't do well against weapon batteries like Eldar, this thing is really, really good. It also does have a Nova Cannon in the front, which is also a major plus to it because, like I said, the Nova Cannon is a really powerful weapon, and it does a lot of damage. It's actually one of the only, I believe it is the only blast template weapon. Then again, I could be wrong. I haven't read all the ships, so I don't know if any of the newer races had something that was an equivalent to a Nova Cannon. But still, Nova Cannon is always a plus, especially since it's under 200 points. This ship and most of the other battle cruisers that we've gone into are do tend to hit the 200 point cost once you throw in the Nova Cannon upgrade on them. And on this particular class, the Hammer of Justice can be refitted with 45 centimeter range batteries and with a power reduction of 6, and which allows it to purchase it at 5 points less than it normally is. So if you're really strapped for points, you can get 5 points off this thing and still get it in your army. And it's a decent ship, like I said. It's really great for those close combat, in your face, want to get in there and just rip apart enemy cruisers after they've been pelted with your torpedoes and your cruisers and your escorts running at it trying to take it down. If the ship still survives, definitely a Dominator class in close quarters barrage can take down nearly any ship it fires at. The next ship in our list is the Imperial Gothic class cruiser. Now, the Imperial Gothic class cruiser is a really nice long-range weapon ship. My only problem with it is its only forward-fronting weapon is its torpedoes. And its lances, which is what it's only armed with as lances, is only got its left and its right, but it does have four lances on each side, which is really nice. Which is why if you want more of a long range based army, the Gothic class is definitely the ship to take, because it out of all of them, I believe that I've done so far, it's the only one with 4 lances, and like I said, lances always wound on a 4 no matter what, and they can just rip through a lot of heavily armored ships. And so you bring it along, you bring them about and just fire your lances at it while your weapon battery ships run up the middle. So it's good cover ships as well, good cover ships for your short range ships. And torpedoes are still really good. They're great because they're one of the other weapons that get through shields, so they can blow apart a lot of ships that you can't just seem to get through because of all their shields that they have, and they do a pretty good chunk of damage. And so torpedoes aren't something to mess with, and they do limit maneuverability of some of the more faster races because they don't want to get pelted with torpedoes, which is always a good thing to have. Now, the next ship in the fleet that we got here is the Imperial Dictator class cruiser. This is, again, one of my personal favorites, and I actually have 2 of these in my fleet. It's got actually 3 turrets rather than the regular 2, and it's one of these, it's it's a nice long-range support ship. When I mean support ship, I don't mean it's decent at it's decent at what it does, but its big thing is aiding other ships. Like you'd have this with you'd have it with your cruisers or your battleships moving forward, and having it cover the ship's flanks, because it has 4 launch bays, 2 on each side, to launch fighters or bombers. So again, if it's up with a ship that needs support, you can send out fighters to give cover against bombers and torpedoes, or you can launch bombers ahead of the thing to try and if other ships get up and they can't take the ship down, then the bombers may have a chance to finish them off for them, which is really great. It's got 6 weapon batteries on its left and on its right at 30 centimeters, so again, great if you bring it alongside with a group for support. It runs up one side, and just pelts the enemy ships on the other side, so you do a classic pincer move, so they're pretty good at that. And it's got 6 torpedoes, which again, you can control the board a little bit by where ships are going with torpedo control. So this is why I think it's one of the better support ships. It can do the job that needs to be done and help out its fellow starships in the battlefield. So I think this is one of the better support ships. Like if you're not sure if you want something to protect your other cruisers or escorts and such, or to just get rid of like ordnance-heavy armies like Tau, if you really want to compete with them, the Dictator class is the best one against like Tau and all those other like Tau and the other armies that are big on ordnance weaponry. And the last cruiser in the section is, my personal opinion, one of the worst cruisers that the Imperial Navy has. I don't even bother with it. It's called the Dauntless Light class cruiser. Again, it's a light class, so it's only got 6 hit points, but it's got a 25 centimeter speed, and it turns 90 degrees, but it only has 1 shield, armor 5, and 1 turret. And what you're getting isn't really, what you're getting is decent with fire weaponry is pretty okay. It's got 4 weapon batteries, which isn't that great, and it does have a 3-shot lance. The only problem, though, is those lance shots can only be fired in its front, so it's just missing a lot of bang for its buck, if you ask me. It's really, if you really are strapped for points and you really just want to fill it out, then I'd probably take some extra escorts or something, or upgrade one of your other cruisers rather than taking the Dauntless, because I just don't think it's really worth it. But for what it's worth, you get one or 2 of them. You get 2 of them together, and they can again do the classic pincer move as any Imperial Guard ship can do. But it's really mostly just a tail ship. It's stick it next to a battleship and hope it can help support it when it gets into the fray of things. But other than that, I just think it's very lackluster out of all the Imperial cruisers. So that is it for now. Until next time, this is Helios Raven, signing off.